Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Anchorage Ice Tigers Draft Declare franchise mode, or MyNBA, whatever you want to call it, here in NBA 2K26. So last episode, if you did not catch it, we had the year one off season, and we actually picked up, I'd say, some pretty decent players to start building around for our two picks in the draft. Obviously, this first pick, obviously being the best player of the bunch, so we got Dana Westbrook, who's very exciting to see what he could do in his first season. He's a very good offensive scorer, as you can see, with 3-point shooting at an A and mid-range shooting at an A-. Definitely some other things need work, but he's also a very good perimeter defender, so I do like a lot of that, and he's only a 75 at 19. Does have B+ potential, but I do still think he could develop into being a pretty useful player for this team, at least early on. So yeah, just excited to see what he could do. Also, since he's relatively young, maybe he's the type of player that could be on this team for a lot of years and not leave us to free agency. We also did draft this guy named Jay Aldridge, who isn't as good. As you can see, he doesn't really have any good stats other than his perimeter defense, which is currently an A. Everything else is pretty bad. I guess his athleticism is decent as well, and he has okay potential, but you can see he's not really an offensive threat whatsoever, so I don't really expect him to put up any good numbers in his rookie season. But those are the two people we drafted, and then obviously we filled out the rest of our roster with low-end players. So obviously we're looking to add some more players to our team in the upcoming draft. Currently, I guess we have a power forward and a small forward, so I guess we still need kind of like a center, obviously, and then a shooting guard and a point guard. So hopefully those draft classes that we have coming ahead have some good players in position of need, and hopefully we could get ourselves some good players to play in those positions. So anyways, with that said, let's get your guys' comments, what you guys have to say about last episode, and then we will get into probably simulating the entire season for year number 2. So the first comment is from Nick Bacher Barons OC, who says, didn't see Westbrook last episode. He was the better choice for sure. And I guess because in last episode he mentioned we should have went with Wade. And I was thinking of taking Wade. But then when we were looking into Wade's stats a little bit, he didn't really actually look the best on paper. I think he went to Miami, if I'm not mistaken. So actually this is alphabetical order by the team name itself. So Miami here, as you can see, if we go down to... Was he on Miami? I feel like he was on Miami, unless it was somebody else that was. Let's actually, I guess, go to the entire league, and then we'll sort by age. But anyways, though, he looked like he was going to be a good player. He has actually really good potential, Wade. But the only problem for him is that his attributes right now aren't the best. So he could develop into becoming something nice, but obviously I prefer to decide to go with Westbrook instead. But if we scroll down all the way to here, we're almost at him likely. There he is, I think. Yeah, Derek Wade, you can see 76 overall. He does have good inside scoring and good post defense, but you can see some of these other stats definitely need some work. And he does have A+ potential, though, so he definitely can develop into becoming an absolute superstar. But right now, obviously, I'd say I would prefer the obviously younger option that's only 1 overall point worse and has really good 3-point shooting, because the NBA technically is more of a 3-point league, I'd say, than an inside scoring league. It used to be like an inside scoring league, I think, in like the 90s and 80s and all that. But now it's more reliant, I think, on people that could shoot the 3 balls. So I don't think this guy would have been the best from that unless he developed in those areas. But I definitely say we made the right selection, obviously taking Westbrook over Wade. And the last and final comment is from Scarecrow, who says, hyped to see how these draft picks pan out. Love the Dana Westbrook pick. And yeah, I'm really excited to see how these guys pan out as well. I'm really hoping that they pan out really good for our team, obviously, because since this is the beginning of the series, we want to make sure that we're drafting quite well, because obviously or else it's going to kind of hold us back a little bit from actually being a playoff team at some point. So yeah, hopefully this year's draft class is a good one. Let's actually take a look at that draft class, speaking of which, and just kind of see what there is right now. Ooh. Okay, so it doesn't look like there's going to be maybe a super high-end potential player based on this early on, but obviously we haven't simulated any of the season so far. We haven't scouted any of these guys out. But right now, based on this draft class might be weaker than last year's, so it'll be interesting to see if it is weaker like that or not. But right now it's looking like the best prospects might be C+ and overall, which means I think like 68 overalls and above. I'm not too sure, but yeah, we definitely might have our work cut out for us this year in terms of drafting good players. But maybe it's actually a good class, and it's just that we haven't scouted it yet. So maybe these players are actually better than a C+. Tough to say, but I think we are ready to get into simulating the season. We already do have our young guys in the lineup for the start of the season, of course, because they're our best players technically. So Westbrook will be getting 32 minutes per game, and Aldridge will be getting 31. Like I said, I don't expect Aldridge to put up a lot of points in this rookie season, but Westbrook, I'm expecting him to be maybe a Rookie of the Year candidate, depending on if he's actually going to be a really good scorer for us or not. So yeah, I think we're probably ready to go. I'm pretty sure there's nothing we need to do beforehand. We don't really need to do any player mentorship yet because we don't have technically any veterans on this roster in a way when you think about it. So I will leave that off for now. Injury history, obviously none of our young guys have injury history, but I know there is other players on this team that do have injury history. So some of these guys like Dennis, for instance, pinched nerve in back. There is a chance that obviously he could get another injury like that during his career. We just got to watch out for a lot of these guys on the team that we filled our roster out with. Migraine, that's not really much of anything. I mean, migraines suck, and same with the flu, but those aren't going to be long-term factors in injuries for these guys. Hopefully Westbrook's a healthy type of player. I didn't actually take a look at his durability. Let's take a look at that quickly, because I really hope that these young kids obviously can play the full season and that we don't have to worry about them coming out of the lineup due to an injury. So risk of injury right now looks like pretty much low in everything, which is good. Oh yeah, he did have increased injury to his head and also his left foot. So I am a little bit scared about the left foot one, obviously, since it's an increased injury. If he suffers a really bad injury to that ankle, it could end his career for sure at some point, or end it early. Because there is career-ending injuries in this. I don't know if you guys knew about that, those of you that don't really play 2K. But what about Aldridge? What was his injuries looking like? Let's see, because I didn't really take a look at him either. No increased injuries anywhere. All right, so it looks like he's a pretty healthy player, which is good, but obviously he's not the better of the two. I would prefer that to be on Westbrook rather than Aldridge. So let's hope for a pretty solid season for this team in terms of development. I don't think, obviously, this team's going to be better than last year because last year we had a lot of players get signed to our team. But I'm hoping, like I said, the young guys could do relatively well. So with that said, let's go to November the 1st because I think if we go to November the 1st, that's when we will get our first pop-up. Well, we'll mention about scouting and all that stuff. So let's go through October 31st. And see if we get a scouting pop-up, which I'm pretty sure it's usually at the end of every month. And let me simulate through this game as well. Okay, maybe not every single month, unless we go to November the 20th, and then it would show up. I'm not 100% sure. All right, let's continue to simulate. If you guys can't tell, which, yeah, you can't tell because my face, we did lose this game as well. That's below my head. I don't really have a good spot to put my face on the screen, so we'll just keep it up here for the time being. It might cut off some of the games, but obviously, most of these should be losses regardless, so it's not like you guys are going to really miss a win or anything, I don't think. So let's simulate through a date and see if we get ourselves a draft pop-up soon so we can start scouting out the upcoming class a little bit. But yeah, we're losing every single game. Nothing's popped up so far. Maybe it's at the end of November? Damn. Alright, maybe it is. Wait a sec, let me stop the sim. I might have clicked simulate entire season. I guess I could technically do simulate regular season and it'll pop up eventually with the drafting, right? Yeah, there we go. All right, so let's take a look at this draft class. So I guess we want to scout the people that might have the best potential. Technically, we could go off of rank as well, but let's just go with the first people. It's kind of funny that there's a guy named Everett Carroll here because basically in my career, which is an online mode, of course, I've been playing it, and my guy, for some reason, his name randomly changed to Everett Carroll randomly, so that's kind of a random player name, and of course, it has to be in two things that I use now in 2K, so that name's always going to haunt me, I guess, or something, but let's scout out all those guys, and hopefully we could find out some good prospects and stuff for this class. Hopefully there's some that are better than a C+, like I said, or else this draft class might be the worst one we have. Hopefully next year's better. Let's continue. Let's keep on with these guys for now on the top. But, yeah, I probably don't really need to remove people from this list for the time being, just because, obviously, it's not going to matter at this point. We are definitely going to be taking a better look at player stats this year on our team, because I obviously want to see how good Westbrook did in his rookie season. Because I think, like I said, he could be a potential candidate for Rookie of the Year this year. So hopefully that is the case. We do need to start taking a couple people off this list. Ooh, okay, a couple people are actually decent overall. 76 at 21. I don't know about potentials. But okay, looks like we're actually having some decent overalls at least. Not as good as last year, because last year there was an 81 that went first overall. But this still looks like it could be at least a solid class. But obviously it depends on potential as well while we're at it. I'm actually just going to make sure my Elgato's not playing any of the music from this game, so I'm just going to mute it quickly just in case. Don't need to get any copyright strike because of like Drake or something being on. Alright, at 77 at 22. Yeah, some of these guys are actually pretty good overalls maybe. But I'm really hoping that they obviously all have good potential too, because if they don't have good potential, it won't really matter at the end of it. Because if they have a C+ potential, then they're never going to grow more. That's good. Alright, let's continue to simulate. Still no wins on the season, so we actually might have a season similar to our Draft to Glory in NHL, where we don't get a single win in a single our first full season technically. So, because I'm not considering last season actually like almost a season for us in a way, just because of the game signing us a bunch of filler players. But looks like we're finding out a lot of players in this draft, which is good. Hopefully our scouts are pretty accurate, which I think they're mostly accurate, but honestly, who knows? Alright, are we going to win any games this season out of curiosity? Because obviously that would be interesting if we win at least one game, but I'm hoping there's, like I said, some good results from the younger guys that we have. Obviously the guys that are just fillers, I don't really care too much. And no, we're not going to worry about the trade deadline. Wow, this season sim goes by really quick too. Like, we're already into February at this point. We have a lot of guys fully scouted as well, so we're making a pretty good work of this draft class. So we should know necessarily who we could take at number 1 this year, if we do get the first overall pick. Which obviously, in this episode, I think we'll probably find out where we're drafting and stuff as well. Just add some more time to this episode, like some of the off-season. I didn't take a look at the All-Star stuff, but it doesn't really matter too much. I don't think we'll have any All-Stars at this point anyways. There probably was some players in the Young Stars game, but at this point, I don't feel like it matters that much. But eventually, it probably will, once we actually have a full roster, which I don't think it's going to take us that long to build a full roster, because eventually we're going to have players regardless. Oh, wow, look at this guy's name, Boomer. But eventually we're going to have, like, probably within 3 years, we're going to have actually, like, a full lineup if we draft a player in each position. And then, obviously, it's just about getting the right depth around those players as well. So, alright, still no wins on the season, damn. I was expecting maybe at least one win this season, but then again, we're a bunch of 68s and stuff like that, so I'm really hoping that this doesn't hurt our players, though, that we drafted, of course, but wasn't expecting a good result this year, and this is definitely a lot worse of a season than last year, and this is more like a draft to glory, which is good. It's not like last year where we somehow won, like, I think it was 30 plus games, so we should easily have the best odds for the first overall pick, but obviously, are we going to win it? I hope so. There is an NBA Cup MVP for us. I forgot about the NBA Cup. Cooper Flagg has won it. Interesting, okay. So shout out to Cooper Flagg. As we do play Dallas the next day and we lose, of course. Still no wins as the season is drawing to like the last 10 games. There's our first win. We actually beat Brooklyn. All right. Brooklyn is an interesting team. I don't know how we beat them. I know they're not really that great, but that's our first win with the new regime of guys like Westbrook and all that. So that's an interesting one. I didn't even actually take a look to see if any of our young guys got injured throughout the season, but that's definitely something we will have to look into at some point, I guess. Hopefully they're still in the lineup. But we did beat Brooklyn 88-86, so we might have won off of like a buzzer beater or something like that, because that's a very close game, almost one that we lost, but we will actually have a win in our first full year as a Draft to Glory team. And we are only going to win the one game. So let's go through the season awards for the 2027 season. And then obviously we are going to take a look at some player stats on our team. So this year's MVP is Anthony Edwards, averaging 32.4 points per game. So Ant-Man has won the MVP. Pretty realistic, I would say, at some point. Rookie of the year is going to actually be Rodney Bowen, who I believe was the second overall pick this year. Going to Indiana, 16.6 points per game, 9.4 rebounds, and 3.7 assists. So unfortunately, no rookie of the year for Westbrook. But looks like this guy had a really good season. And yeah, it's not really a surprise. If I actually go override player, I'm not going to make it say Westbrook, but looks like Westbrook was injured on our team. Yeah, it looks like he was injured earlier in the season because he has an injury symbol. I don't want to go down to him right now. Actually, I will go down to him right now. Okay, well, he broke his right arm. He's out 6 to 8 weeks, so he played most of the season but missed the last 14 games. And he was averaging 20.3 points per game. So he probably could have been a rookie of the year candidate if he played the final year or full year. But looks like he finished maybe third in rookie voting. Actually, maybe not third in rookie voting because they technically gave it to, who was it? Oh, the guy that currently had it. Yeah, maybe he was like fourth or something in rookie voting. Like Lothar Klein was also up there apparently. But actually, no, that's based on minutes. If we go based off points per game, yeah, technically I think Westbrook could have won it if he would have been more healthy. But yeah, he averaged actually a good amount of rebounds per game, which I wasn't fully expecting. His assists per game, obviously not very good, but looks like he had a really good rookie season for our team. And he was shooting over 40% from three, almost 41%, which is fantastic. His free throws were good. Yeah, that's a really good rookie season from Westbrook, but it does suck that obviously he got injured apparently somewhat in the season. I don't know if that's going to hurt him long term. Obviously, broken right arm obviously sucks. Is it something that's going to end his career? Probably not, but it's definitely something I don't really want to see early into his career. So anyways, there's that. Let's continue to go through these other awards here. Josh Giddey is going to be the 6th man of the year for the Bulls, 19 points per game. Wemby is going to be the defensive player of the year, not a surprise. 25.5 points per game, 13.9 rebounds, and 4.8 assists. Cooper Flagg, the most improved player, 22.5 points per game this season. Clutch player of the year going to Trae Young, 28.3 points per game, over 10 assists a game. Damn. Shout out to Trae. And then Jason Kidd, the coach of the year for the Dallas Mavericks. Nathan Mack, the executive of the year for the Minnesota Timberwolves. And we already saw about the Cup MVP. So there's all the awards for the second year. Does suck about Westbrook's injury, but I think he had a very good rookie season. He's probably going to be on the all-rookie team, I guess, I would assume. So let's take a look at these all-team selections. So for the all-NBA first team, Ant-Man, Wemby, Doncic, Cade Cunningham, and Tyrese Halliburton. I'm surprised Halliburton's actually on there, but I'll take it. For second team, it's Bam, Jason Tatum, Trae Young, Giannis, and Shea. Kind of crazy that Shea's on the second team and Hallie made the first team. Damn. Was not expecting that. Third team, it's going to be Ahmed Thompson, Paulo Banchero, Amelo Ball, Chet Holmgren, and Evan Mobley. And then for defensive first team, Wemby, Mobley, Holmgren, Thompson, and Giannis. Defensive team second is going to be Ausar Thompson, as well as Adebayo, Walker Kessler, Jalen Duren, and Jalen Williams. Shout out to all the Jalens. And then, yeah, rookie first team. Westbrook will be a rookie first team member, which is nice to see with Rodney Bowen, the rookie of the year, Bernard Russell, Deion Snow, who also went to the Pacers. He was a part of that trade that sent Pascal Siakam to the Rockets, if I remember right. And then also Malivi Dunleavy Sr. is also there. All right, so those are the best rookies, basically, from this year. Second team has Alex Tuhey, Lothar Klein, CJ Phillips, Barney Wall, and Lance Brandt. All right. So good on obviously our young kid in Westbrook to be there. But like I said, I am worried about that injury. Let's actually take a look. Yeah, now he has increased risk of injury in his arm. I really hope that he's a long-term player. But at this point, you never know. Maybe he's going to have really bad injuries every single year, which is a bit scary. So we'll advance past that. Can I take a look at the other players on my team's stats? I think so, right? I don't care about the players that aren't drafted, but let's take a look at how Jay Aldridge's rookie year was as a 72, because I'm curious on his stats as well. So his stats this season, he was averaging 6.9 points per game. That's actually not terrible, but that's definitely not great for a guy that was averaging 30-plus minutes a game. But 1.3 offensive rebounds a game, 4.5 rebounds total per game, 1.6 assists per game. Yeah, not a great offensive player by any stretch, but 1.1 steals per game is not that bad, so it looks like he could maybe take away the ball. He was shooting 245 from three-point range. That's absolutely dreadful. And then his free throw percentage was below 60%. So yeah, not a good rookie season fully for this guy. But obviously, like I said, he's not an offensive player, and we should not really expect him to be picking up like 20 points in a game unless he starts developing in those areas. So anyways, that's the stats we worry about. Let's simulate through the playoffs and find out who ends up winning the NBA title this year. See if it's a similar result to last year, which right now it doesn't look like it. It will be the Minnesota Timberwolves as the Western Conference champions, as Julius Randle wins the MVP on the Western side, and Scotty Barnes the Eastern Conference MVP for the Raptors. So it's a Raptors and Timberwolves final. That's kind of a weird final for 2027 in my opinion, but hey, what do I know? As Toronto beat Detroit in the conference finals, Minnesota beat the Clippers. So, wow, OKC was knocked out in round 1 by Houston. And then Houston was knocked out by the Clippers, who were the 8 seed. Damn, that's crazy. That's kind of a result I was not really expecting this early in the franchise mode, but whatever. Let's find out who wins the NBA title. When I first got kind of into basketball a little bit, the Raptors did win the NBA title. So let's simulate through a game and see if the Raptors win, or will it be the Timberwolves? So the Timberwolves take the first game. It's probably going to be the Timberwolves, I feel like, because of Ant-Man, right? It's got to be. I don't think Scotty Barnes has it in him to win it for the Raptors, but you never know. 3-1 Timberwolves. Is this going to be it for the Raptors? Yes, it is. So Ant-Man has carried the Timberwolves to a championship, so that's pretty cool. And Dante DiVincenzo was the finals MVP, so hey, maybe it's not Ant-Man's team, it's Dante DiVincenzo's team, but 17 points per game, 6 rebounds a game, and 5.2 assists as well per game. Damn, that's kind of surprising that Ant-Man didn't win that, but Dante's a good player too, so. Alright, so now that we've seen all that, I actually did want to go to the standings and stuff like that. I meant to show you guys that just so we could see how much points we were averaging per game and stuff as a team, if I still can, which I think I can. Yeah, I can. So if we sort this, which I can't sort, let's just go to the bottom of, I guess we'll go to the bottom of the West. Yeah, 1-81 record. We are averaging, we actually won our only game on home court as well, which is nice. But we're averaging 82.7 points per game and allowing 118. 118.2 is not bad for allowing, but 82.7 obviously not great offense, but lost 12 in a row to end the season. But hey, we beat Brooklyn. How good was Brooklyn in the East? They were the second worst team in the East, okay. 26-56. So I guess it makes sense that we beat them, but we lost every game to Charlotte, but we could beat Brooklyn. Huh. We're definitely got the best odds for the first overall pick, which is exciting. So let's advance past that and get into part of the offseason up to the draft lottery, of course, because we want to find out. Actually, we might do more of that. Yeah, we could always do all the way up until the NBA draft part, so the pre-draft workouts and that. Let's do that. I think I did that last episode, or last season, but I cannot remember. So let's see the retirements, though, for 2027. Russell Westbrook has retired, so obviously our Westbrook's the only one left, but Westbrook retires with Golden State. DeMar DeRozan's retired. Steph Curry retires. God damn, man, that's going to be a crazy day. Paul George retires as well. Harrison Barnes. So some pretty good players have called it quits at this point. I don't think we lost anybody because our team is just filler players pretty much. So anyways, those are the retirements. Which means Hall of Fame inductees. Definitely Steph Curry's going to be a Hall of Fame inductee. Of course, him, Russell Westbrook. Geez, I almost said Russell Westbrook. Paul George as well has made it to the Hall of Fame. So shout out to those three guys for making the Hall of Fame. Jersey retirements. Any jersey retirements other than Curry? Westbrook also has his number retired by OKC. Realistic for sure. I definitely think that's definitely something that would happen. So those are the two jersey retirements. Will be interesting to see if we have any jersey retirements once we actually get late into this mode. In terms of league meetings, anything get accepted? No, nothing got accepted. They all got rejected. I don't think I really want... Ooh, the worst team has a 25% chance at the number 1 pick. I could approve that, but I don't want to approve anything that's not realistic. I feel like that would be realistic to have the first team have the best chance to get number 1. But at the same time, obviously, if we're getting better as a team, We probably don't want that, so I'm just going to keep it all as rejected and not change anything there. All right, so draft lottery. This is the most important day in Ice Tigers history. As you can see, we have a 14% chance at the first overall pick. The Hornets also have a 14% chance. Pacers have a high up chance to get it as well. The Thunder, the Spurs. There's no guarantee that we're going to win it, but let's see if we could actually keep the first overall pick in this year's draft. Obviously, it's not as good as last year's draft, but I'm still hoping that we could land ourselves the first pick in a way, even though there's a lot of pressure on us to make a good selection, obviously, with that. But I expect the early parts of this draft lottery to stay pretty much the same. But if a team randomly jumps up, we got to be a little bit nervous that we could have fallen back a little bit. Hopefully, somebody doesn't jump all the way up to number 1 from like a very low chance. But that does happen occasionally with this draft lottery system. I wish NHL had a draft lottery system like this because it's pretty cool just like actually seeing like the balls dropping in and see if it's actually going to stay the same or not. Like, that's all. There's a few things I wish why 2K would come back to NHL, but at the same time, there's a lot of things I don't really like about 2K, like their VC system and stuff like that. But then again, NHL uses online stuff like that too. But I just feel like 2K is a lot more money hungry than EA is even. Which might sound like a biased thing to say, but I feel like that is the case. All right, we're getting into the top 10 here. Who's up first? The Knicks. Okay, Knicks have only a 3% chance, and they will stay at number 10. Not really a surprise whatsoever. Who will be going at number 9? And I need to actually tweet out mine of my videos going up, so I will be doing that as we are going through this. 76ers are going to stay at number 9. Not really a surprise on that. Let me go Control C on that. Control V. Bam. All right. So what about the top 8? The Bulls with a 4% chance will stay at number 8. Not a surprise. Okay, everything's staying true to form so far at this point. Nothing's changed crazily, which is good. What do we got next? The Pelicans with an 8.2% chance will move up as the Sacramento Kings now have 7, which means the Pelicans have moved into the top 4. So that's a bit scary. Hopefully that doesn't regress us too far back. The Spurs now at 6. Will stay at 6. But the Pelicans have moved in, which means somebody has moved out, I think, of the top 4 potentially. All right, number 5. We should probably still have a good odds of staying in the top 4. I don't know if we can follow the top 4. Denver Nuggets at 5. Let's see what they got. They are also going to move into the top 4. Actually, no, it's the Pacers. Oh, Pacers from Brooklyn. Yeah, that means that the Nuggets have jumped into the top 4 as well. So, Pacers move back a little bit, which means we will have a top 4 selection this year. The 4th overall pick, will it be Denver? Yes, it will. Okay, so we have a top 3 selection guaranteed. So this is big. This is big. We at least have a top 3 selection, but will we have a top 2 or will we have the first pick? The 3rd overall pick, based on odds, will it be the Pelicans? Yes, it will. Okay, so we have either number 1 or number 2 in this year's draft, which is nice. Last year we drafted 10th overall, so we will be getting ourselves our best player yet. Are we going to win the draft lottery? Are we going to win it? The 2nd overall pick belongs to the Anchorage Ice Tigers. So Charlotte will have the 1st overall pick in this year's draft, but still 2nd overall is good. But obviously I'm not too sure how this class looks, that if that's going to be a big selection or not. So that could have been a big loss, but the Charlotte Hornets will take the 1st overall pick, and we will have the 2nd pick, which is not bad. Both of us had 14% chance. And then obviously the Pelicans will be in that 3rd spot as they moved up quite a bit. So as the draft lottery, I will definitely take the number 2 pick. But we will obviously have the 1st pick in the 2nd round if I'm not mistaken. So there we go. All right, so now that the draft lottery is done, let's get through the staff signing stuff, even though this is kind of off-season related stuff. We do need to sign a CFO, so let me just quickly find one here. I don't know if I could even bring in anybody that's really good, but let's try and bring in somebody that's decent. And let's just make them an offer and see if he'll accept, which he will already. Okay, perfect. So we already got our CFO. We do also need a team doctor. Ooh. Sleep doctor, sports psych, sports science. Team doctor. Yeah, we need a team doctor. CJ James. Is there anybody really good that would fit us? I don't even know where to sort in terms of things. Medical. Okay, we could probably go for a sports psych as the team doctor, probably, I guess. So let's just do that. And offer him that contract. And he's mulling over it. He's still mulling over it. Still mulling over it. And he has signed it. Perfect. Alright, so our staff is all good. Which means now we can go to the draft combine and take a look at some of these players a little bit better. So, based on the draft combine, the fastest by 3/4 sprint was Colin Wright, who's a 73 overall. It's not terrible. Best lane agility is Stuart Macy, who's also a 73. Best vertical, Eric Baker, 44 inches for his vertical. We don't know anything about his overall. Interesting. Best bench is going to be OJ Wood, who's got 29 out of 30, I think that is. Standing 15-foot jump, Joe Oliver. Best moving 15-foot jump is going to be Phil Bowen. Standing college three-pointer, Byron Law, so Law might be a good shooter. Moving college three-pointer, Byron Law again. And standing NBA three-pointer is Wesley Morrison. Him, actually, Julio Ramsey and AC Stanley. And in the moving NBA three-pointer, AC Stanley. So Stanley might be a really good shooter, potentially. Which is interesting. All right. So there's that. Let's advance to the pre-draft workouts. And let's just send, I guess, technically the best players. Which right now we're seeing the best players. Probably Adam Thornton, who's going to go first overall. But he is 23. The good thing for us is since we have the second overall pick, we might be able to get still somebody pretty decent. But it doesn't look like there's any good young players like there was last year that are 19 or something like that. So that's kind of unfortunate. But yeah, let's just send the best players to these pre-draft workouts because obviously we kind of want to find out who we're drafting in this episode for next episode. But Everett Carroll's the best in terms of the sprint of these guys selected. He's also the best in lane agility. Best vertical is Mac Marks. But Everett Carroll is up there, so he's pretty good in vertical. The best bench is definitely still OJ Wood. Stanley Ball, which is a funny name. Him, Gin Fudge, one name. OJ Wood, up there for that. Kelvin Long, Marvin Drew, Adam Thornton, and Adam Thornton. So Adam Thornton looks like he might be the best three-point shooter potentially in this class, or one of them. But obviously he's projected to go first overall, and he's also, like I said, 23. So I don't know about his age, but he's probably the best player. We obviously got to take a look at player ceilings and floors and all that. So let's actually do that here briefly. So Thornton might have one badge, potentially. But what I wanted to take a look at wasn't his badges. Oh, I can't even take a look at that stuff yet. Oh, no, I can. Here we go. So, technically, Adam Thornton has an All-NBA ceiling and a starter floor. Marvin Drew, All-NBA starter floor. Definitely not drafting Gin Fudge because he's a starter bench. Ooh, Everett Carroll might have a Hall of Fame ceiling. And then Steve Francis floor, which is just a starter. But Everett Carroll actually might be the guy. We do need a point guard or a shooting guard, and Everett Carroll is that as well. He's 22. I kind of like that a lot from Everett Carroll right now. I think he might be one of the guys I want the most right now. Stanley Ball's All-NBA and bench. That's kind of a risk with the floor being a bench maybe. Mac Marks starter bench. Hall of Fame and starter for Richie Solomon. He's 22 as well. He's another shooting guard / point guard. So we will have our options, I guess. And then there's Arthur Theis, who is All-Star and bench, All-NBA, starter. All right. Oh, there's another Hall of Fame, too. Actually, no, and that's Carroll again. So, Carroll's Hall of Fame starter. And then who is the other one? Solomon's Hall of Fame starter. It's got to be between those two guys for sure. So, we'll come back to that in a little bit. But there's that. And now, if I go to scouting here, now we can take a better look at those two guys. So let's do a little comparison. I think it's got to be between Richie Solomon, who is projected to actually be the first overall pick this year, and then it's also between Everett Carroll. Obviously, we are going to be drafting number 2, So one of them might go beforehand, maybe not. But let's take a comparison. So Solomon is a shooting guard / point guard. He could be Dwayne Wade, but he could also be a starter like Danny Ainge. Solid on-ball defender, can steal the rock on occasion. Good passing fundamentals, tends to head teammates in their shooting pockets. Can potentially create for himself, needs to tighten handle a bit. No significant weaknesses, which is pretty impressive. And then the prospect is past his physical. Okay. 6'4", 217. Not necessarily the biggest guy, but you don't really need big guys for shooters. 23.5 points per game in college or wherever he played. Oh, actually, yeah, in Duke it says. In terms of his other stuff here, he does have slippery off the ball as one of his badges. That might be his only badge he does have. And that's basically it for him. Meanwhile, Everett Carroll is 1 overall point better potentially, but the same age. He's a point guard / shooting guard. Could be like Derrick Rose, or could be like Steve Francis. Decent handle, could generate good looks against average defenders. Good on-ball defender, could get some steals here and there, and rarely needs the help of a double team. Plays solid man defense. So I like that Carroll could play good defensively, because the players that we brought in last year could also play good perimeter defense, so he might fit what we actually already have. Weakness, slow to grasp new offenses, often appears unaware, but that's his only weakness. The other guy didn't have a single weakness, though. But this guy, it looks like he's going to be the better overall of the two based on the offense and defensive rating. He was averaging 27 points per game. And then if we go to his badges, he has 4 badges potentially. Ankle Assassin, Lightning Launch, Posterizer, and Rebound Chaser. So it looks like he could get good rebounds as a point guard / shooting guard. He could posterize people, so that's pretty cool. Lightning Launch, he's also explosive when driving to the basket, and then he could also break down their ankles. God damn. Seems like he's a pretty ruthless player in that sense, but I'm thinking Everett Carroll is looking pretty good. But is he better than the other guy? Based on the points per game in college, like he was with Drake, he was better. The ceiling, they both have the same ceiling, same floor basically. He does have one weakness, but he does also have probably more badges. Meanwhile, Solomon has no weakness, only has one badge, and then also was worse technically in college, but has no weakness. Like, what if none of them go before our selection? That's the only thing. Because if one of them goes before our selection, it will make the choice easier, but obviously we're not too sure on that for certain. So I honestly don't know who I'd go with between those two, but I think it's probably between those two guys because we need them the most. But if we wanted to look into guys like Adam Thornton instead, he only has one badge, which is obviously not great. But he's an All-NBA. He's definitely a good player, but obviously the Hall of Fame ones we would probably prefer to take. O.J. Wood is another good player. He's a very good at blocking shots and good like defensively, I guess. But yeah, I'm leaning towards either Everett Carroll or Richie Solomon, I think. Even though there technically is some other good players, I think, in this class. But I think it's got to be between those two guys, potentially. So there is that. Anything else we need to do before we end this episode? I don't think so, right? I don't think so. But if we... Actually, I can't access that during the offseason. Like I said, we have technically Westbrook, who's a power forward, Aldridge, who's a small forward, so I think guards are probably a good play. And obviously, if we could find a center in the second round, that'd be good too, but I'm not too sure what's going to be available to us in round 2. But I definitely think, since we already have ourselves a power forward and a guy that could be a bench small forward, it's probably best that we look into guards, at least in this draft. So I think it's got to be between those two dudes. And what does the mock draft look like, out of curiosity? They have us taking Richie Solomon second overall, but they do not have Everett Carroll going until number 10, which is also an interesting thing. So this is based on the Sporting News, though. So they have Arthur Theis going first overall, which Arthur Theis is going to be probably a good player, but he's not exactly something I fully need right now. But yeah, Richie Solomon is projected to actually go that high up by the Sporting News. 2K has Lefteris Natis going first overall to the Hornets instead from Greece. And then they have us still taking Richie Solomon. Where do they have Carroll? Carroll's still going number 10. Would Carroll be more of a reach taking in the top 2? Solomon seems like the first sure thing. That's the only thing. The NBA.com has Marvin Drew going first overall, so I guess they don't really know what the Hornets are going with, but a lot of them say that we're going to take Richie Solomon. So, is Solomon the play, or do we try and go off a little bit off the board and take Everett Carroll instead, potentially? Like I said, I don't know if it's a risk taking Carroll early on or not. Solomon might be the first sure option to take, so... He was draft ranked at number 1 too. So if he is available to us at number 2, that would be an absolute fantastic steal. But also, whoever ends up drafting Everett Carroll might be getting a really good player too. So we obviously want to make the right decision on that. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Anchorage Ice Tigers MyNBA. So in next episode, we will have the year 2 number 2 draft. We'll see what we end up drafting second overall. I'm really hoping that we get either Carroll or the other guy. I guess technically we get one regardless, but I'm hoping, obviously, I think I'm leaning towards Solomon just because he was projected high up, but Carroll could be a really big surprise, and whoever does draft him could end up having a huge steal. So going to be exciting to see what those guys end up looking like in the draft, but hopefully it's another good draft for us, and then hopefully we could get, obviously, our roster set up for year number 3, and who knows, maybe this team is going to start getting better with our team being younger, but the only problem is if Westbrook's going to be a bit of an injury-prone player. Like I said, his first season getting injured with a broken arm, not necessarily ideal, won't end his career, but obviously he could be one of those type of players that maybe ends up retiring early because he gets injured every single season. So hopefully that's not the case, but it honestly could be. So I think down below, and I'll see you guys next time.